In 2004, the Angels were sold by Disney to businessman Arte Moreno, who made billions in the billboard advertising business. To Angel fans, Arte was a godsend, increasing payroll, lowering beer prices, and signing incredible free agents like Vladimir Guerrero and Bartolo Colon, helping the Angels continue their playoff runs after a 2002 World Series win under the Disney regime. Arte referred to the Angels as the Yankees of the West, and the Angels were in fact one of the only teams with a winning record against the formidable men in pinstripes during those years. Despite these early star-studded moves, the Angels began the early 2010s without any World Series appearances since 2002. Much of their former championship team had either retired or gone on to other teams, and a new era was beginning, which the Angels kicked off with a bang through the signing of Albert Pujols and the drafting of Mike Trout. Quickly, Angel fans realized they had the best player of the 2000s in Pujols and the best player for the next 10 years in Trout, and excitement was at a fever pitch. Yet years passed without the Angels winning anything meaningful. Outside of a winning season with a first-round exit in 2014, the team has failed to make the playoffs every year since. While fans had previously looked at Moreno as a generous owner, cracks in the culture of the team began to show and explain the reason for the team's continued failure. In 2019, Angels pitching prospect Tyler Skaggs died of a drug overdose. Medical examiners found his hotel room riddled with pills, including a single blue pill called M30, which was found to be Oxycontin laced with fentanyl. It was later found that Eric Kay, the Angels' former communications director, had regularly dealt these M30 pills to several Angels players, and that a single dose of fentanyl had likely caused Skaggs' death. Not only had the Angels lost a young man and a top prospect who was predicted to lead the team to wins, they had allowed a top executive to distribute drugs to multiple players with impunity and without repercussion. The Department of Justice often says that ethical businesses start with a tone from the top, and the Angels had shown little regard for setting ethical business models through their leadership team by hiring Eric Kay, not investigating his actions before they led to harm and the untimely death of a young player with a bright future. In the 2000s, the Angels were known for stability at the top of their organization. Manager Mike Scioscia joined the team in 2000, oversaw their only World Series win in 2002, and led them to playoff appearances 5 other times that decade. However, after he resigned in 2018, the Angels have had 4 managers and 4 general managers. While change is a constant in the world of sports, no business, whether commercial or athletic, achieves success with constant turnover. Not only does this impact the team or business's strategy for success, it also impacts the level of autonomy and independence with which these executives can act on behalf of a company. We all know the script in sports. Every time a new manager is hired, previous coaches and their assistants get fired. In the world of business, new executives come in, set their own strategy, and oftentimes bring in their own team. In the case of the Angels, their constant turnover inhibited the ability of executives and managers to truly set a vision for the team and make the appropriate moves to fulfill that vision. The one constant, though, in the sea of change was, of course, Arte Moreno. Every expanding business eventually needs to invest abroad to tap new markets and customers. That's why the biggest organizations in the world are called multinational companies. In the 2010s, the Angels had significant star power, acquired mainly through free agency with players like Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, Anthony Rendon, and eventually Shohei Ohtani, signing with the team for exorbitant checks. But aside from Ohtani, Angel free agent signings haven't performed to expectations, with Pujols a shell of his Cardinals persona and Josh Hamilton relapsing and eventually fading into obscurity. While the team spent generously on free agents, there's no indication they spent time, money, and attention investing in young foreign talent outside of Ohtani, who was already a professional player before coming stateside. I mean, just think about it. When was the last time the Angels broke a star from a Spanish-speaking country since K-Rod in 2002? Investing in foreign scouting is often rife with potential corruption issues, and a business like the Angels, which hasn't been able to effectively manage its affairs even within the U.S., has naturally struggled with investing effectively abroad. Just the same, companies that struggle to manage their programs in the U.S. or their home countries usually don't have the ability to initiate and manage foreign investment effectively either. Since Mike Trout, the Angels have struggled to introduce a single other homegrown star, while the rest of the league boasts plenty of foreign talent like Tatis Jr. in San Diego, Jose Altuve in Houston, and Rafael Devers in Boston. In the business world, companies are only as strong as their third-party networks. In the case of the Angels, well, even their third parties could be corrupt. Currently, the Angels play at Angels Stadium, which is owned by the city of Anaheim. In recent years, Arte Moreno, though, has been in talks to buy the stadium outright from the city for $320 million, so that he can initiate investment in the stadium, develop outlying areas, and generate additional revenue. In 2022, the city of Anaheim rejected the deal due to corruption by Harry Sidhu, the former mayor of Anaheim. Sidhu, whose potentially corrupt activities extend beyond his involvement in the stadium deal, allegedly leaked information to Moreno during negotiations. Following rejection of the deal, the Angels are left with the status quo, leasing their rights to play at a stadium and unable to economically develop surrounding areas to increase revenue and sign better players. In the business world, a company's performance depends highly on the capability and integrity of their third-party relationships. Many high-profile corruption cases are actually caused by activities carried out by third parties. In the case of the Angels, not buying the stadium likely prohibits Moreno from increasing the value of the team, since he now lacks the ability to control development of outlying areas near the stadium. More money usually means better players, and in the case of the Angels, they need all the money they can get to re-sign Ohtani and increase their development programs in Latin America. By the end of 2023, it's likely that the Angels will be one of the many what-if teams in sports history. With three of the greatest players leading their lineup over the years, multiple banners were expected to hang from the rafters of Angels Stadium. Instead, the Angels will end up like some other unfortunate teams of the past, who had great talent but whose players ultimately only found enduring success on other teams.